You will have likely heard of the 7 deadly sins, a famed classification of vices or behavioral traits commonly perceived as the most negative. But did you know that according to some scholars, these 7 sins are each personified by a particular demon, a prince of hell to be more precise? So, who were these lords of sin, and what did they represent? Let's find out together, right now. Whilst many different classifications of demons exist across the centuries, one of the most well-known is the 7 Princes of Hell, written by a German bishop called Peter Binsfeld. Peter Binsfeld was a German bishop and religious scholar born in Germany in 1540 or 1545, depending on varying sources. As a child, Peter was gifted enough to be sent to Rome to study. When he returned, he became a prominent figure in many anti-Protestant campaigns. What he was most well known for was the part he played in the witch trials of Trier that took place in 1581 until 1593. Binsfeld wrote an influential piece titled Of the Confessions of Warlocks and Witches, which contained the alleged confessions of these individuals that had been obtained through torture. Therefore, according to him, should be believed and trusted. This is important because at the time Peter was considered a rather intelligent man, an expert in religion and its supernatural elements in 1589. Amongst the chaos of these witch trials, he published a list of demons that he believed to be the princes or lords of hell. According to Binsfeld, the 7 deadly sins were much more than just deadly vices. He believed each one was in fact a demon. The first of these is Lucifer, who represented the sin of pride, the original and most serious of the 7 deadly sins. His overwhelming pride led to him believing that he could rule heaven, and so he was cast out and demonized. Some consider Lucifer to be the ruler of the 7 princes. These accounts often believe Lucifer and Satan are the same individual. They even sometimes replace Lucifer with another fallen angel figure such as Azazel. The second demon Binsfeld mentions is Mammon, whose name roughly translates to mean money, and I'm sure you've guessed he is the embodiment of our next sin, greed. Mammon isn't necessarily a physical being, more so a concept surrounding money, wealth and greed. Over time this began to change, and it was during the Middle Ages Mammon became more than just a concept. He was personified as the demon of greed in numerous pieces of art and literature, and thus some scholars began to classify him as one of the princes of hell, who would enslave those who were driven by greed and the accumulation of wealth. At times Mammon can be confused with Beelzebub. The third prince of hell is Asmodeus, who represented the sin of lust. Most of what we know about Asmodeus comes from the Book of Tobit, as well as some other Talmudic stories, such as the construction of the Temple of Solomon. Many saw his role as spreading lust through the land from common people to kings and queens. Nobody was safe in the Book of Tobit. He fell in love with a woman named Sarah and prevented her from marrying anyone else. He also killed 7 of her husbands the night of their wedding. The 8th husband, Tobias, was lucky enough not to suffer a similar fate. Following advice given to him by the archangel Raphael, he was able to repel the demon. He placed a fish's heart and liver over some burning coals, and when Asmodeus paid them a visit that evening, the smell caused him to flee, where he would later be bound by Raphael in the Talmud and the Testament of Solomon. Asmodeus has numerous encounters with Solomon, and there is a passage that mentions him marrying Lilith and taking her as his demon queen. The fourth demon prince according to Binsfeld was Leviathan, which represented the sin of envy. This one may seem a little odd, as when most people think of the Leviathan they think of an enormous sea monster, not exactly something you'd assume would be found in hell. It has dozens of interpretations and meanings across numerous religions, but this association with envy and the princes of hell that Binsfeld speaks of is a Christian concept. The Italian philosopher and Catholic priest Thomas Aquinas described it as a demon responsible for punishing those guilty of envy by swallowing them. Whole Leviathan was also often seen as representing the gates of hell in Anglo-Saxon art. The entrance to hell was seen as the gaping mouth of a monster known as the hell mouth, or the jaws of hell, with the Leviathan being seen as all sorts of creatures from a giant sea serpent to a large whale or even a crocodile. It's likely the creature's gaping maw was enough to influence this Anglo-Saxon motif. The fifth demon prince is Beelzebub. The Lord of Gluttony. Another name you may also see is the Lord of Flies or the Lord of Flyers, which refers to his ability to well fly. Beelzebub is a figure who can be traced back through numerous civilizations and religions. In the Testament of Solomon, he is a fallen angel often associated with Lucifer. He doesn't necessarily have a particular domain, he just behaves in a generic demon-esque manner, causing men to worship demons and turn on each other, succumb to lust, jealousy and murder. Just an all-round troublemaker. The Dutch demonologist Johann Veer saw him as the chief lieutenant to Lucifer and integral to a successful revolt against the devil. Demon Prince number 6 is undoubtedly the most well-known Satan. The Lord of Wrath. He is known for bringing evil and temptation, and is known as the deceiver who leads humanity astray. Satan is even able to take control of the life of a person in the stead of God, though only to an extent to what God allows. Satan would appear to those who are sinful, playing into their hearts and towing them into despair. He may either be depicted as a rebel to the will of God, or as one who tempts mankind to commit sin to show God that mankind can easily be led astray from him. He is described as the ruler of the demons, and the god of this age. Satan is said to also be associated with one of the 7 deadly sins, being wrath. Our final demon prince is Belfigure. Belfigure is a fallen angel, now a demon lord that presides over the sin of sloth and is one of the 7 princes that rules hell and assists people to make discoveries. Belfigure seduces people by suggesting to them ingenious ideas for inventions that will make them rich and thus greedy and selfish. Belfigure is sometimes portrayed as a beautiful woman, naked in all her glory, to seduce those who would fall for his wiles, but other times Belfigure is portrayed as a monstrous male demon with leathery flesh, huge horns, long sharp teeth and fingernails and a gaping mouth. He may not be the most imposing or terrifying demon, but Belfigure is about as cunning and deceitful.